You've probably heard of Roblox, but it's so much more than just a game. It's a full-blown global phenomenon. We're talking about a digital universe where millions of kids and teens are logging in every single day to create, hang out, and play. It's a metaverse built almost entirely by its own users. But behind all those vibrant, blocky avatars and seemingly endless games, there's a much more complicated and honestly darker reality taking shape. I mean, think about it. There were over 40 million user-made games, or experiences, as the company likes to call them. It's become the virtual playground for an entire generation. Games like Adopt Me have been visited billions of times. That's not just a game, that's a central part of childhood for so many kids.
And the whole idea is that it's a creative, social space. But what happens when that playground has a dark side? A side that parents and even regulators are only just beginning to truly understand.
So let's dive in. We'll start with the most direct threats, because behind those colorful, blocky avatars, some very real, very serious dangers are lurking. You know, some digital behavior experts put it perfectly. They found a troubling disconnect between how Roblox looks, all friendly and fun, and what can actually happen there. And it's right in that gap, between the perception and the reality, that all the problems start to crop up.
And the list of documented risks? It's pretty staggering. We're talking about everything from kids being exposed to sexual content and online predators, to financial scams, cyberbullying, and even political extremism. And that's before we even get to the game mechanics that look an awful lot like gambling and a design that critics and lawsuits allege is deliberately addictive.
And let's be clear, this isn't just a what-if scenario. These risks have led to absolutely devastating real-world consequences. We're now seeing a growing number of lawsuits. Families, and even entire U.S. states, are taking Roblox to court, claiming the company has failed time and time again to protect its youngest and most vulnerable users. So okay, that's the obvious danger. But there's a more subtle, more systemic issue at play here. The psychological and financial mechanics that are designed to keep kids hooked, and to keep them spending money. So the whole platform runs on something called Robux. It's a virtual currency, but you buy it with very real money. And this currency is used for everything, from little accessories for your avatar to special in-game abilities. Now, a huge controversy surrounds these things called loot boxes. Basically, they're in-game purchases where the reward is a random surprise. The link to gambling is so strong that some countries, like the Netherlands and Belgium, have actually restricted them to protect kids. And the kids on the platform, they see it for exactly what it is. A 16-year-old named Tim just laid it out perfectly. It's like gambling. You spend your money, and maybe you get something amazing, or you get nothing. That little what if is an incredibly powerful hook. Psychologically, there's a name for this. It's called a compulsion loop, and lawsuits allege it's a core part of the design. You anticipate a reward, you perform an action, like spending your Robux, and you get an unpredictable prize. That variability, that not knowing, it triggers a dopamine rush in your brain that makes you want to do it again and again and again. And this isn't just about brain chemistry, right? It's also about intense social pressure. As one 10-year-old explained, if you're a default skin, people think you're trash. Just imagine that. It creates this incredible pressure for kids to spend real money just to fit in with their friends.
So these issues of safety and addiction had been bubbling under the surface for years, but in late 2023, the whole narrative just exploded when a very well-known short seller took direct aim at the company itself.
Hindenburg Research, and a firm that's famous for exposing corporate wrongdoing, released an absolute bombshell of a report. It didn't just accuse Roblox of failing to keep kids safe. It accused the company of actively misleading investors about its core business numbers. And this quote from a former senior product designer really gets to the heart of it. The allegation is that leadership prioritized engagement metrics, the numbers that make Wall Street happy, over putting in robust safety features that might actually reduce the time users spend on the platform.
And while all this was happening, Hindenburg was quick to point out that company insiders had cashed out over $1.7 billion in stock since the company went public in 2021.
So how did Roblox allegedly mislead investors? Well, it all comes down to how you define a person. Roblox often reports the number of people on its platform, but Hindenburg claims this number is really just their daily active users, or DAUs. And according to Roblox's own disclosures, that number can include multiple bot accounts and alternate accounts run by a single person. Hindenburg's claim? The true number of unique people is inflated by as much as 42%.
Okay, so, faced with all these incredibly serious allegations, the pressure is on. What is actually being done by the company, by parents, and by regulators to try and make this digital world safer?
Well, for its part, Roblox maintains that safety is their #1 priority. Their chief safety officer, Matt Kaufman, says, quote, "Trust and safety are at the core of everything we do, and that the company is constantly evolving its policies and moderation to protect its community." And for parents, there are tools you can use to regain some control. Safety organizations have laid out a really clear roadmap, from setting a PIN to lock settings to curating the kind of content your child can see. Taking these steps is an absolutely critical first line of defense. But let's be honest, parental controls are only one piece of a much bigger puzzle. Regulators are trying to step in, but it's complicated. This chart shows the challenge perfectly. Just look at the European Union. The age of digital consent, that's the age a child can agree to their data being processed. It varies from 13 all the way to 16 depending on the country. This patchwork of laws makes it incredibly difficult to enforce child protection standards across the board. But despite those challenges, things are starting to happen. The EU is pushing forward with proposals to fight the spread of child sexual abuse material online, and as we've already seen, lawsuits here in the US are putting direct legal pressure on the company to finally change its practices.
Which really brings us back to the central conflict here. Roblox was built on this incredible idea, a universe powered by the creativity of its users. But that exact openness, the very thing that makes it special, has created a system with inherent, systemic risks that have proven incredibly difficult, and as some critics would say unprofitable, to truly solve.
And that leaves all of us with a final, crucial question. In a world where these platforms are generated by millions of users, a world that is this vast and constantly changing, can any company, any set of rules, or any algorithm ever build a wall that's high enough to guarantee safety? That right there might just be the defining challenge for the next era of the internet.